What is the best property investment strategy for this year? I get asked this question all the time, and people are expecting me to say houses in multiple occupation, or single-let buy-to-lets, or commercial conversions, or serviced accommodation. But here's the reality. It is not about what is the best property investment strategy right now. Different strategies work better in different areas, but all these strategies work all the time. They've always worked for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They always will work. However, most people know this. Their challenge isn't, does the property investment strategy work? Their challenge is, how do I get the house to do that strategy? So it's great to know how to run a single-let buy-to-let. It's great to know how to manage HMO tenants. It's great to know exactly how to run a serviced accommodation unit, but I don't have a house to do it in. No money down property investing techniques are the techniques that allow you to get the keys of a property. And immediately when you hear the word no money down, you start to switch off and go, you can't do property with no money. No, you can't do your money down. And those that can do your money down, maybe you can do one, maybe you can do two, but then you run out of money. No money down property investment techniques are not actually doing property with no money. The whole concept of no money down property investing is actually really around creative property investing and how you build your property portfolio without having to earn money in a job. It could be somebody else's property. So maybe use a strategy like rent to rent, where you rent a property off another landlord and then re-let that property out. Now, many people will say to me, well, I want to be a property owner. I don't want to do rent to rent. Don't confuse property investing with the property business owner. Most property investors, they own a job. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's about 2.2 million property investors in the UK. 90+% of them own 1 to 2 houses. The average is about 1.2 or 1.3 properties per person if you broke it down per capita. And they have a job and a buy-to-let property that they have as a pension plan. Or they have a job and a pension and a buy-to-let property to subsidize their pension. But they are not business owners. Most business owners, by the way, they don't own the building the business is run out of. They rent a building to run their business. But in property, we think we've got to buy to let. So you've got to buy to rent. But the problem when you buy to rent is you need 25% deposits, you need stamp duty, and then, by the way, when you put down your 25% deposit to buy the property, you are buying a 75% mortgage. You're buying a debt. Why don't you just rent the property, not pay 25% deposit, not pay stamp duty, let it out to other people? You see, when you think about no money down property investment techniques, if I was to draw a line down here, everything on that side of the line is the same. The rental part, the tenant you find, the guest you find, what you do with the property is the same. The biggest challenge that most people have is they cannot get in the first place. They don't know how to do this side of the line because their focus is on traditional thinking. And traditional thinking is that I need cash to buy a property to rent. I need a mortgage to buy a property to rent. But what if you just rented a property to rent? Or you did a lease option to rent? Or you did an exchange with delayed completion to rent? Or you did vendor finance to rent? Or joint venture finance to rent? Or private investor finance to rent? No money down property investment techniques. They're the techniques that allow you to do what you want to do, which is rent the property out, create the income from that property. And then you can start to use these investment techniques together to create more income from the same property. So what if you were to rent a property on a rent-to-rent basis from a landlord, start to make income from that property, but also bolt on a lease option to buy? Or you do exchange with delayed completion. So you exchange contracts on the property today, delay the completion, and complete that purchase at some point in the future. Just work with me here. You could secure this property on a rent-to-rent contract, then make money from it, and then use that money that you've made from the property to buy that property. See, traditional property investors, they're out there at the moment, and what they're trying to do is save up money in a job to buy property. The school system, the world we live in, you're taught to get a good education, get a good job, get yourself a mortgage when you're young, get a credit card at 0%, take out a personal loan for the nice car, get yourself in debt, and then over the next few years, get yourself out of debt. And the government wants you and they'll promote you to get out of debt by the time you get to retirement age. If you retire with no debt, you might not be poor, but you won't be significantly wealthy. Think about this before you go crazy in the comments. Robert Kiyosaki, in a recent interview that I listened to, Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, he was asked the question, is he a billionaire? And he proudly smiled and said, of over $1 billion of debt. You see, there's a big difference between good debt and bad debt. And when you go to save up your money to buy a property, you take on a traditional mortgage. And typically you'll get a 75% loan to value mortgage. You're really buying a debt, not a property. You're buying a 75% debt. So let me show you that. I'm going to buy 100 grand property. Other numbers are available, but 100 grand property, very simply, because 75% of 100, you're going to put down a 25k deposit, which is 25%, and you're going to take out a 75k mortgage, the 75% as a buy-to-let. When you do this, take out your 75k mortgage. That mortgage is going to cost you money every month. So let's say it costs you, I don't know, £400 per calendar month. As an example, other numbers are available. Your plan to service that debt is to rent the property out for maybe £650 a month. That's the mortgage, that's the rent, and you make a profit of £250 a month. Instead of buying your own debt, because really what you've done here is you have bought a 75% debt. Why don't you speak to the owner of the 100 grand house and ask them if they currently have a debt on that property. And the interesting thing about the world right now with the property market dropping in value is a house that might have been purchased for 110 grand on a 90% mortgage may well have a 99k mortgage on that property. And then they look to sell their property. But it's gone down in value from the 110 grand. Nobody's buying. They're getting silly offers of 75, 80, 85, 90. But if they sell it for 90 grand, they owe the bank 99, they're going to lose money. So I come along and I say, look, I'll give you your 100 grand. But to buy it at 100 grand, I'm going to need to put down a 25k deposit. And then I'm going to need to take out a 75k mortgage, a debt pledge. And I'm going to have to pay the bank a few £100 a month to service that mortgage, the 400 quid a month. I'm going to put a tenant in at 650 quid per calendar month to make a profit. But you're going to lose money if I give you 90 grand. I would rather give you £1,000 to buy your current mortgage instead of paying 25 grand to buy a new mortgage. You can take over and service somebody else's debt. Now, there's a certain way you got to do this. There's the right paperwork to put in place. You need to use the right solicitors. It's not just as simple as ringing up the bank and say, I want to take over this person's debt. There's an entire process to go through to do that. But you take on this mortgage of 99k, you service their mortgage. Now, somebody watching this might say, well, why would you take on somebody else's debt? But you're taking on a debt anyway. When you buy a property with 25% deposit, you're buying debt. And the interesting thing is, once you understand this, the richest people on this planet are the ones with the most good debt. I'm putting 1 grand in instead of putting in 25k. I got no stamp duty now because I've not completed the purchase yet. That 99 grand debt may be on a lower interest rate than the rate that I can get. So I might only be paying 400. I might be paying less than 400. I might be paying a bit more. Maybe I'm paying 450 on this debt. But I'm still making a profit from that property. You look down through the rich list. They're all controlling good debt. They're all using these techniques to control good debt. While the poor average person is following the traditional system of saving up their deposit, working hard in a job. They're trying to save up this 25k deposit, wasting their most valuable asset, time. We are in a window of opportunity right now. in the current market for the next maybe 18 months to 2 years, where you can massively scale your business by controlling existing good debt. I'm on here week after week after week sharing with you different properties we have acquired, showing you around. There's loads of videos. You can watch one here now, but you gotta ask yourself, how? How can you show so many property deals week after week after week? It's very simple. I am not saving up 25% deposits to acquire these properties. We're using creative property investment techniques. While many people are focused on saving up a deposit in their job, I am focused on this side of the line. The rent-to-rents, the lease options, the exchange-delayed completions, the vendor finance, the joint venture finance, the private investor finance. There's techniques I haven't even mentioned, like assisted sales and tenant buyers. There's many different creative property investment techniques. That's how the large-scale property investors are building up their portfolios. If you want to build your portfolio quickly, watch more content right here on the channel, and come and meet me sometime. Make it your year to come and see me. Now you might be looking at me going, why would you want me to be successful? Very simple, collaboration. In property investing, if you found a great deal, we could do something together. If I find a great deal, we could do something together. One person could find a deal, one person could fund a deal. One person could find a deal, one person could manage the deal. Collaboration rises all ships together. We are not competing with each other, we are collaborating with each other. Let's get you doing lots of deals. There's a completely free report. It's in the pinned comments and it's in the description that can teach you how to get started in property creatively. I've been Kevin McDonald. You've been amazing. I'll see you next time.